Hello out there in internet land. Well, after all this time, the time has come. Yeah. Oh, yes. It's blues time. Now, from up to now, you might have thought, I'm the jazz and blues audiophile, but you heard mostly jazz. I had only one program where I was discussing the blues, presenting a blues album by Buddy Guy, the legendary Buddy Guy. But now, time has come to speak a little bit more about the blues, present to you another artist, and talking about the blues in general. Now, what we're hearing in the background is this artist right here, Little Ed and the Blues Imperials, from his first album, released on Alligator Recordings, or Alligator Records, I should say, back in 1986, the album Rough Housing, his very first album. This one is an authentic, real deal bluesman, one of the few remaining authentic bluesmen. Now, a lot of guys are out there playing the blues or claiming that they play the blues, they play blues guitar, they sing the blues and all this crap today, and they're not real bluesmen. They don't have the inspiration, they don't have the feeling. Because when you're talking about the blues, here's the thing, here's the secret. It's all about feeling. It's all about emotion. It's all about soul. It's all about raw, brutal emotion, unfiltered. Just coming at you like a 1-2 punch, and it'll just knock you out if the power, the blues power, is really there. And not anybody can produce this blues power. Now, a lot of guys today claim to play blues. I'm sorry. They're bad imitations of the real deal. They're bad, very pale imitations of the real blues power that they experiment. When you see these bluesmen, the real bluesmen, you get the chance to see them live. And live, I can tell you, seeing a real live bluesman that masters his heart, that really masters this art of the blues, it's something that you will never, never forget. Now, this guy, Lil Ed Williams, he lived the blues. His uncle was J.B. Utto, one of the great slide guitarists of the blues tradition. And so he learned a little bit of his guitar playing from his great uncle. He also had to earn his living in a car wash for a long time before he could finally make the leap and live from his music. And that happened in 1986 when this album was released. Now, I got to see Little Ed live twice. Once at the Montreal International Jazz Festival, and once in a little club right next to the city where I live in downtown Ottawa called the Penguin Club. And I'll tell you something. This man, the real hard, heavy-duty blues deal. And there was very few people at that concert when I saw him because he was very little known here in the surroundings especially. And so there was just about maybe 40 people in the club listening to him. I was one of them with a friend of mine. So we brought our table right to the front of the stage. And I was screaming during the whole show, right on, man, right on. That's what I call the blues, the real deal. And Ed, near the end of the show, came down during a number with his guitar, was playing, and came and sat at our table, sat with me, chatted a little bit, and gave me his slide finger. That's the metal finger that they put in their hand in order to play the slide guitar that you're hearing in the background. I'll tell you, Lil Ed was and is the real deal. He's still around, he's still touring. If you have a chance to see him and his band, the Blues Imperials, I will tell you, you will see the real thing. The real thing. So, but when speaking about blues in general, what are we talking about? What's the blues all about, really? I mean, we know it was born during the mid 19th century. Was born during the mid 19th century out of the black people in the United States that were in slavery, that were singing in the cotton fields in order to alleviate a little bit of the pain they were suffering of having being deprived of their freedom and basic human rights. So they started singing, and from that evolved the rural blues, and then the modern electric blues. When a lot of these rural blues singers of the 30s and 40s started migrating to the big cities because that's where all the jobs were. People like Muddy Waters, people like John Lee Hooker, did this. And then later on, Buddy Guy, even Buddy Guy, who's a living legend of the blues, who's 83 years old, still living, still performing today, an absolute legendary performer of the blues. Even he comes from the country. He's from Lettsworth, Louisiana. He's from the farm. He's the son of farmers, and he was just a country guy. He's a country boy, But he came to the big city and became an electric blues man. And it contributed greatly to the Chicago style of blues, what we know as the Chicago style of blues today. But all this Chicago blues is nothing else but the rural blues electrified. And he changed the themes of the songs sometimes, but it's always about life. The blues is always about life. It's always about living. It's always about the hardships of life, the difficulties of life, the joys of life also, but just about everything that can happen to you in life. The good, the bad, the right, the wrong, and all the rest. As Willie Dixon said it, and this is the best summary of what the blues is all about that I could say, is by repeating the words of Willie Dixon. The blues are the truth, and the blues are the facts of life. And the blues will tell you about everything. They will tell you about all the facts of life. The good, the bad, the right, the wrong, and all the rest. And if you don't dig the blues, you have a hole in your soul. That's Willie Dixon, one of the great singers and composers in blues. He said it that way, and I think he said it best. That sums it up. That's what the blues is all about. And so if you want to hear the blues, well, you got to seek out the real artists. My first artist I'm presenting to you is this one as the real deal, Little Ed. He's still going strong, and he's the real deal. Don't go for the imitations, because if you go for imitations, you will be deceived, and more than likely, you will be disappointed. A lot of white rockers are imitating the blues, the music that was created by the black people of America, the blues. Now, I'm not saying that the blues is owned only by black people, and only black people have the kind of soul to sing the blues. But it is music that was created by them, and it is a heritage that comes from their cultural, their personal, very unique cultural background. So most of its exponents, of its great legendary exponents, are black, and it's not a coincidence. It's because their culture was the originator and creator of this kind of music. Now, can white people play the blues? That's a question that's always been asked, way back from ever since the 60s. They've been asking, can white people play the blues? Yeah, we can play the blues, but it won't sound the same. We won't have the same soul. When a white person plays the blues, usually it makes rock. It sounds like rock. It becomes rock and roll. I'm just saying this is a personal thing. Just a very personal opinion. You don't have to share it. You can disagree. And let me know, by the way, if you agree or disagree in the comments section below, and subscribe. Don't be shy. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm the Jazz and Blues Audiophile. I like to discuss these music subjects and play some good music like what you're hearing in the background right here. Little Ed just getting down there, all the way down the bottom of the basement where the blues is played. I love it. So anyway, I like to share these opinions. You don't have to agree with them, you can dislike or disagree, but let me know. Go ahead and give me some feedback. I like it when I get some feedback. Don't be shy. Go ahead and write me, and I'll usually reply. In any case, there's people that try and do the blues and they really fail at it. Some of them really, they do have it. Like for instance, if I have to speak of great white blues players, I'll say yes, Stevie Ray Vaughan. He had it. He could put out the feeling of the blues. Johnny Winter was another one. Johnny Winter was somebody that could absolutely play blues with feeling, with the proper kind of emotion that would get the message across. It was not just a question of technical capabilities or capable technical abilities on guitar or something like that. That's not what the blues is about. The blues is about feeling. The blues is about emotion. It's about what note you'll play and how you'll play it and how much soul you can put in just one or two notes. And with those two notes, if they're played with real soul, you'll blow off the stage just any technical master of the guitar just by the sheer power of the feeling that will come from those notes. That's what the blues is all about. And yes, Vaughan could do it. Winter could do it. John Hammond Jr., who's also a white blues player, has it. John Mayall, the British blues man, he also has it. But that's about it. There's not many names amongst the white bluesmen that could really have that feeling. One of the most heard of musicians today, and with all due respect, I know he's a very, very good musician, very talented at the guitar, is Joe Bonamassa. You've probably heard about him. A lot of people say he's blues. He does play a lot of blues stuff, but I feel he really doesn't have it. When I listen to that guy, it leaves me completely cold. Yes, technically, he's extremely gifted. He's extremely talented. He's got an extreme mastery, excellent mastery of the guitar. But when it comes to putting the right kind of feeling, the right kind of emotion in that music, no. He sounds mostly like a rocker to me. So, usually, that's what happens. That's an opinion, of course. It can be disputed. But that was my little take on the blues. And so, by these times we're going through right now, with the coronavirus and all that crap, I think a lot of people got the blues. So, maybe now's a good time to put on a blues record like this guy here and listen to the blues. And might help you get through these hard times, because always remember, whatever you're going through, whatever you're suffering through, there is a blues tune about it. And this coronavirus thing, very much like the flu, well, Albert Collins, one of the legendary bluesmen, has got a song called The Dying Flu. Very much appropriate in the times that we're going through. So, until next time, I'll leave you on that note. This was my little presentation of what the blues is about, basically, mainly. And don't forget, this guy, buy his album. This is his first one. He's got about a dozen out now. But encourage this man. He's performing. He's still going strong. Little Ed and the Blues Imperials. If you hear that he's close to your town, you don't go and see this guy, you're going to miss one of the greatest blues artists around today. Well worth encouraging, well worth going to see and buying his album. So go ahead, go to your local record store or on the internet and order this record or some of his other ones. Little Ed, the Blues Imperials. The real deal, the real blues. I'm the Jazz and Blues Audiophile, and this has been this episode on the blues. Talk to you in the next one.
Everything I do brings me closer to the blues.